because I like the editing process. You know, it focuses me, and there's a lot of things you can tell I'm very all over the place. So, but I can sit for like 20 hours and edit. I can edit it. Excuse me. I can edit like 1,000 photos like in a day, where most photographers take a month. Like if I shoot Comic-Con, I'll have this up by Wednesday. Like, he knows, I work with this guy, he's good. And then, so thank you for coming, by the way. And so like, you know, I don't mess around with that stuff. I love it. It's my bread and butter. But to answer your question, whether I want the detail real in the photo or put it in post, it depends on the situation. So if there's a cosplayer that doesn't have the piece and it's like, oh man, I really need this thing in there, I'll put it in post. But a lot of times I'll use my environment instead of photoshopping the background and just put the effects on top the front, and it sort of matches up perfectly in my experience. So.
And I kind of want to jump back because we were talking about cosplay that we've done. I think my favorite one was a couple cons ago. I did like 10th Doctor. Like, and it was sort of more like 10th Doctor reference, but you know, I had like all the trappings and trench. I had my sonic screwdriver. I appreciate it for the doctor. Cheers to the doctor. But what I thought was cool was the feelings that go along with it, because cosplay does affect you internally, I think, as well as externally. If you really are into the Doctor and you walk around dressed as the Doctor, everything becomes a ridiculously interesting, quirky experience. You find yourself sort of like interacting through the universe like that. Our dear colleague that's dressed as Harley Quinn did not put her shoes on the floor once. And that's awesome, because Harley doesn't sit like that. She would stretch out. Exactly, like it does change you internally. And I think there's something awesome about picking characters that make you feel good, as well as sometimes picking characters that might make you feel powerful. Or might make you, if you want to hide, make you be able to hide. Like, those feelings are awesome. I've been toying around actually with this Bishop cosplay that I haven't been able to pull together yet. All our stuff is in storage because we're moving. But the thing that I wanted to do with it is I love this idea of heroes hiding in plain sight. So a lot of it that I'm trying to pull together for it is things that you could actually cobble together from other space. It wouldn't be his actual like leather suit and like his long flowy cape. But how would that translate? Maybe a red hoodie, maybe combat boots, maybe an Xavier t-shirt because he goes there to go to school. But whatever it is, even the details, like we said in the suit, the feelings that you get will be just as real, even if the outside isn't quite where you want it to be yet.
I remember I was going to say one thing. I remember watching this guy at Awesome Con in DC a few years ago, who was dressed up as Rufio.
Oh yeah, Rufio.
And literally could not walk down a hall without every time like everyone was like Rufio.
I did it, and I didn't even know I was going to do it.
At one point, he was just like kind of just like, he looked like he was bummed, like he was sitting there looking at his phone, and he was kind of just like whatever. And you heard all these little kids like going Rufio, all like stands up straight. Like shakes it off and was like a huge ass, like badass smile. Yeah. And I was like, that totally makes your day, doesn't it? He's like, you have no idea.
That was also the first year that the Black Panther cosplay had started to come out. And you know, being a young black kid who loved comics, and my dad's passed, but my dad would have loved Black Panther. And there was like one dude dressed as Black Panther at Awesome Con that year. And almost every young black kid, and every old black kid actually, came up and talked to him, and because of that, he had to be T'Challa that day. He had to be the king, and it's like, that's the awesome thing about cosplay, like those feelings and those things you can put on yourself.
I'm sorry, Patrick. Real quick, we're going to take one more question, but before we do that, this is a little trick that Patrick has taught me, is to take a picture of the audience at every panel that we speak at, so.
I can't. I can't. She'll never pose. You gotta take pictures.
I'll take a picture of the girl.
Oh, yeah, so your question, and they are.
So have you guys noticed that there's, in cons in general, if you've been to many, or even if this is your first one, do you find that you're seeing a lot more, you know, disability or alternate ability, like representation, and do you see it going even farther in the future?
Short answer is yes. Long answer is yes. Repop has us here at this panel, and this is the 5th year in a row where we're over the past 5 years that we've been doing it, we've seen them add a LGBTQ room. We've seen them add a quiet room. We've seen them add all these different resources. So yeah, absolutely. If you look at things like Lock and Key, the comic has a character with a disability, and in the show, that character is represented by an actor who has a disability. We're seeing that we're seeing more and more accessibility and acceptance and inclusion in real life and in comics and in society, and that's a huge, huge deal. So, yeah.
Do you want to jump on?
I was gonna say more is always better.
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, and I think our people show up in these spaces. Like, one of my biggest gripes is when I come to cons and I see organizations that are run by non-disabled people that in some cases actually cause harm to disabled people have a booth. And I pick up the phone and I call my friends that are disabled folks that run organizations. I'm like, why the hell aren't you at the con?
Right.
Do you not realize that is where our people are?
Right.
And instead, like, they're meeting groups that do electroshock on kids. Instead, like, that's the representation in these spaces versus organizations that are run by us and for us. And that's actually where I really want to, like, I see our people come into these spaces, but I want to see our organizations show up and sponsor rooms and sponsor gatherings and get-togethers. I mean, I work for the Ford Foundation, and I can already imagine having a conversation with New York Comic Con next year and saying, what can we do a reception? What is it that we can do to help actually bring together community in an informal way? And so I'm seeing definitely more of it, but I think that there is always the possibility for even greater engagement.
Because I'd love to see an alternate abilities photo shoot for
Yeah.
everybody's ideas of costumes.
Yes. Yes.
Or meetup.
As I mentioned before, nyccsurvey.com. Put that info, put it there, and then the day after the show, or even, it might even be Sunday. New York Comic Con every year sends out an email saying, "Hey, give us feedback for the show. Do it. Give that feedback. Tell while you're walking around, tell the staff members there, these are the people that you want to talk to and give those ideas to. Give them information."
And Joe, if I may too, also put in suggestions and requests for systems and for workshops. I mean, we got really lucky with AwesomeCon in DC because no one had made any suggestion of a conversation around disability in comics. And so when we put it in, they were like, "Okay, do you guys want to do it?" We're like, "You're gonna let me talk about my opinion on comics in front of people?"
And the other thing you could always do is, apply to create that, to do that, or that either run the panel yourself, or do that meetup yourself. There's nothing stopping.
Because I'd love to have somebody have a panel on how to accessorize your wheelchair, or your alternate ability,
Again,
thing.
also talk to us after the panel.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
we should definitely use this, like Joe was saying, use this as an opportunity to build your network.
On that note, we do have to wrap up, and I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the rest of the panelists who are normally here, or who weren't able to make it because of the pandemic, and I want to especially thank Repop for having us here. Because that's for having 5 years in a row. It's it warms my heart, and to me it's mind blowing and it's unbelievable to me. Like,
I just want to add one last word. It's not a disability, it's a superpower. Get it right.
I don't, but I have my Twitter handle. Thank you.
I cover all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, because let me know there was one part there.
It was such a pleasure, man. I didn't